Welcome back, gun owners. We're here today with the Mosin Nagant 9130, one of the most popular military firearms ever built. It's estimated that the former Soviet Union built somewhere around 20 million of these rifles. Now, as with every common rifle, especially a military rifle, sometimes you're going to come across the same problem again and again, and with the Mosin Nagant, it's no exception. What we've got here is an issue with the bayonet. Because what happens is when you buy these military surplus rifles, what happens sometimes is you'll get a gun with all matching serial numbers. But the bayonet itself, the serial numbers on the bayonet don't match. Now, normally that wouldn't be a problem, especially for modern firearms, because they're CNC machined and they're all done to the same specifications. However, a lot of these guns were produced in the 1930s and 40s and sometimes even earlier. And what would happen is a lot of these are done by hand, the bayonets that is. And so what happens is, a lot of times they'd be done for the individual gun. So it's not uncommon to have to machine out the inside, especially on the Mosins, to get the result you want to have this bayonet fit your gun correctly. So today, basically, we're going to show you three things. One, if you buy a gun with the bayonet on and it won't come off, we're going to show you how to safely get it off without damaging your barrel. Two, we're going to show you how to fix the problem so you can actually use the bayonet as it was designed properly, not having to jam it on and off. And then three, we're going to show you a quick tip at the end of the video about how to preserve the wood finish on your gun, especially if you plan on refinishing it later, if you don't have time to get around to it, and especially if you store it in the garage. So we're going to get around to that at the end of the video, so stick around for that. So now, always check the breech before you work on any gun. I'm just doing this right now. Make sure it's pointed in a direction away from you, obviously, and anybody else who's around. And they're going to try and fix the bayonet on here. As you can see, this bayonet only goes on a portion of the way. This piece is actually supposed to go all the way down. There's all the way down to connect with the sights here, and then you turn it. So now it's on, and now, as you can see, it's almost stuck on. You can get it on and off if you try hard, but in the end, it's not good for the barrel. So if yours is stuck on, we're going to show you how to get it off. This one is partially stuck. So what you're going to want to do if your bayonet is stuck on is you're going to want to grab a hammer and a flathead screwdriver. And it's a very simple process, as you might imagine. We're just going to take the hammer, and we're going to put the screwdriver on the bayonet itself. Try not to touch the barrel, although it is kind of difficult sometimes. And we're just going to pound that piece right out. And it should loosen it up. I'll try and do it gently. I've been doing this a bunch of times on this gun as I've been working on it. And so now we're actually going to fix the problem. That was just for those of you who bought the gun with the bayonet on, if you bought it from a friend or a collector. If for some reason the bayonet from the tarnish is stuck on there, that's going to help you get it off without doing too much damage to your barrel. So the things you'll need to get started are very simple. You're going to need some kind of Dremel tool. Now this is just a simple Dremel tool from the hardware store. A grinding bit. It can be a metal grinding bit preferably, or just a simple sandpaper grit. That's what this is right now. And then of course you're going to need your bayonet, your rifle, and as we spoke about before, you might want to get a few more bits just in case. This one's a little wider. So we have two tones to the bayonet. One towards the outer rim here, as you can see, it looks like it's already been ground down a bit. Now that's from tearing the bayonet on and off, just use over the years. Then you can see about midway up it starts to get tarnished more. Now that's just oxidization buildup, and that's exactly what we're going to take off and then ground down about 1/100th of an inch of the actual metal. That's all we're going to take off, and it's going to make a huge difference. Now, as you can see, we're going to hold this up to the light, all the way down, about midway down that shaft there. If you can get a good view, it's a little dusty in here from the grinding. You can see where it starts to turn oxidized. You get that dark color, and then about halfway up you get that bright silver. That bright silver is what you should see by this point. We've taken off all that oxidization, and then you've got the next piece, the next portion here that we still have yet to go. Now we're going to go in the reverse way here, basically, because after that point there's really no way to get any further down unless you go in through the back. You're going to want to make sure while you're doing this you have the bayonet once again pointed in a safe direction. I have it pointed to the left of my shoulder. That way if you do slip or anything, you're not falling into the bayonet. As you can start to see, it's tough, especially with trying to get a camera in there because it is quite dark. But if you can kind of see, we're starting to get some more of that tarnish off on the back end. You can see I'm going to try and do this as even as I can because you don't want to take off too much on any one side. As you can see, it's starting to get a lot brighter on the inside there. I'm just going to adjust this bit a little bit because you can see the sandpaper starts to slide off the top. Now if your sandpaper slides off the housing, it's really easy just to slide back on. Periodically adjust that so it doesn't come off. Now once again, I'm just lightly tapping the edge in circular motion, very lightly. You don't want to use too much force. You can always take a little more off if you need to. You can't add metal back on. So let's keep it up. Once again, we're going to keep going through the back end because that's where most of the tarnish buildup, at least on my bayonet, was. If yours is towards the other end, naturally you're going to want to focus on the other side. Now if you're having trouble reaching any of the tarnish buildup inside the barrel of the bayonet, what you're going to want to do is just switch bits. Most Dremels come with a wide assortment of different bits. You've even got brushes, but that's not going to help you here. So any of those that you think will best help you reach it. Personally, I like this one. It's like a quarter cylinder. Once again, periodically check your bit and make sure it's tight. Now we're going to lengthen the bit a little bit. As you can hear, the bit adjuster at the end is starting to hit the bayonet chamber there. I'm going to try and give you a close-up of what's going on here. As you can see, there's some tarnish buildup still in there, but for the most part, a lot of it's gone. Now, as you can see, it's fairly smooth. Now we're going to do the same thing, but once again, we're going to reverse it. Important thing to keep in mind is keep that bayonet pointed in a safe direction again. See all that, if you can see all that dust that's coming out right now is a combination of metal and basically just oxidized metal, and that's what you want to get off, is that tarnish, because over time, especially when it's subjected to moisture or simply age, what you're going to get is oxidization. Anytime metal is exposed to moisture and oxygen, that's what's going to happen. Now, as of right now, you can see with the camera where the existing tarnish still has to be removed. You've got all this area right here that we've cleaned out so far. It's almost crystal clear. You can see the nice newly exposed metal. And then in this area right here, right where it would lock around the sight, you can see all that cloudiness. That's existing tarnish. That's what we still got to remove. Just that can stop a bayonet from fixing on correctly to a gun. Now, look how clear that's getting. Compare that to the beginning of the video, and it's almost totally different. You've removed about probably 70-80% of that tarnish. We're not quite done yet, but by the time we are, this bayonet's going to fit on great. Well, that was about the last chunk of it coming out right now. We're going to show you from a little bit different angle, once again, how that bayonet goes on. So at this point, you've got the inside of the bayonet all milled out. If you want, you can put a little gun oil on it and gun scrub. That's what we did to make sure you get all the metal shavings out. Because if you don't, it's going to impede your ability to actually get it on. So I want to make sure you can see what we're going to do. We're going to firmly get the bayonet set up like this here. Just twist to the right, and you hear that click. Once you hear that click, you know it's on. In order to get it off, you're going to push up on this piece here. That's your bayonet lock. And then you're going to twist right back into position so it's straight. Make sure you can see that. And so right now the bayonet's straight, the lock's up, and you just twist it off, and you're good to go. And that's how you mill out a Mosin Nagant bayonet and get it to fit your gun without buying any new parts except a simple Dremel from your local hardware store. Thanks for watching, guys. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Michigan Gun Rights and check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/gunrightsofmichigan.